gonna be terrible.
If I told you that I advocate for the chemical castration, sterilization, and physical mutilation of children and young adults, anyone under the legal age of consent, my guess is that you would consider me a crazy person. Castration, sterilization, and physical mutilation of
Fucking chop and dice and burn and sear and mutilate. Just use all those buzzwords to scare the shit out of people from ever even thinking about trans medical care.
children
Fuck
and young
you.
adults, anyone under the legal age of consent. My
And don't pull that fucking shit. We all know that it starts with stopping it. Well, first off, they know pretty well that if they stop it before they hit puberty, and and even a bit after it, then they will live miserable lives and most likely kill themselves, which is what they want. But even if for those who don't, it's going to start with children. It's going to go to teens, young adults, and then adults. And they don't want to stop. They don't want anyone to transition. They love playing the low ball game of, oh yeah, come on guys, it makes sense to not give children this advice, right? Because they're fucking stupid, right?
my guess is that you would consider me a crazy person, a monster, or worse. But that's exactly what activists, medical professionals, and progressives who promote and defend gender affirming care do advocate.
Yep, they want children to specifically be mutilated. They want them specifically to be sterilized. Why do we? I mean, if they choose to be, then what's the problem, anyways? But what was the other one? Mutilation, chemical castration. I mean, again, if they choose it, then why not? They're
The
not
problem
forcing
for
them to
these
do it,
gender
you
ideologues, of
dumbass.
course, is while it is possible to identify as anything, it is
Yeah.
not possible for a man to be a woman or a woman to be a man.
Oh, so you can identify as anything, but okay, but you're not actually that. That's what they're talking about. Gotcha.
To obscure this fact,
Uh huh.
activists have manufactured a small dictionary of sweet sounding terms like transgender, gender fluidity, and non binary.
They just
Gender
made them up
affirming care is the phrase
like
activists have
woman and
coined to
man.
describe sex change treatments such as puberty blockers,
Okay.
hormonal injections, and
Mm-hmm.
double mastectomies. Shockingly,
Uh,
children's hospitals
or
are
just
big
one.
players in this game. The
Well, dumbass, well, again, because children can find out pretty early on, or they can develop or have gender dysphoria at a young age. They tell, hopefully, they can tell their supportive parents about that, and then they can take it to a doctor uh, and a psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't know which one, and they'll go through some care. They'll get checked out and evaluate if this is actually what they want, if this is actually going to be good for them, and then they do it. Again, all under the child's consent. They're not being forced to do it like you motherfuckers are always trying to make it sound like it is.
Boston Children's Hospital's website has posted videos in which its doctors describe a full menu of medical treatments, including hysterectomies for gender
Okay.
confused teens. The Gender Clinic at the
Confused.
Barbara Bush Children's Hospital in Maine offers
Hey.
instructions to boys on how to tuck their boy parts to make them look more like girl parts. Yale University's pediatric gender program director has said she's medically assisted children as young as 3 years old on their gender journey.
Okay. Very, very loose terms there. Assisted 3-year-old, 3 years old, old, whatever, on their gender journey. That sounds pretty vague, doesn't it? Almost like she's just talking to them. But oh my gosh, hey, little Billy or Susan or whoever the fuck your name is, do you feel like you're the gender you were born as? No? Well, okay, let's start this journey. Not, oh, 3 years old. Fucking stupid.
Vanderbilt University Medical Center has assessed gender care to be a new profit center. One of its
Well, I mean, that's not really the fault. It's not the fault at all. I'm sorry, of like the LGBTQIA plus community. It's the problem with um, our medical system making everything about profit. So maybe if we fix that, we wouldn't have a problem. Sorry, I just had to fix my camera a second.
doctors explained why. Attempting to change someone's sex creates a permanent patient. Knowing patients will have to
Uh,
return for repeated treatments is a guaranteed moneymaker.
well, that's kind of what they do for a lot of things, isn't it? But once again, this isn't a problem. This is the problem. You guys see that, right? Where I'm okay, right? Yeah. The problem here obviously isn't the person who's transitioning or the amount of treatment they have, because that's just so far how medicine works. Sometimes you got to keep coming back. This is as pointless as saying, "Oh, fucking doctors pushing like insulin injections, making all this money." Yeah, maybe if we took the money part out of it, this wouldn't be a problem. But of course, this the money, the the amount of times the doctor might, not personally, but the times that hospitals might be giving patients the long and slow treatment. That's the problem. You guys don't care about those problems. You just care about this right here. You just try to pretend that you're not actually talking about this. Fucking deceitful fucks.
Even the American Academy of Pediatrics has endorsed the medical and chemical treatment of gender confused children.
Okay, chemical treatment, and again, they kind of poison the well with chemical castration. I personally haven't looked into how these things work. I don't know if that doesn't sound like something they would do. But by chemical treatment, you mean taking medication like we do for everything else?
When some members asked for a more critical look at affirmative care, they were immediately shut down, accused of being transphobic. The
Yeah,
pediatric
I'm sure that's all they said. Hey guys, we would like to take a more critical review of this gender affirming medical care. That's what they said, and not you grooming pedophiles are not going to touch my kids, and they were shut down. I'm sure that's what really happened.
Academy did not stop there. It teamed up with the American Medical Association and the Children's Hospital Association to petition the Justice Department to suppress anyone on social media who opposes their pro gender treatment position.
Yeah, you mean those who are transphobic? That's what they mean, really.
While the American medical establishment speeds toward the affirmative care cliff, other
What the? Okay, that's weird, like cartoonish animation, but all right.
countries are hitting the brakes. The United Kingdom
Oh yeah, of course. The UK is so good. Uh, I mean, they put it. They paint it as driving off a cliff to move forward to progress in medical care, when it's really driving like up a hill or something. And these people think it's a good thing to stop because they're conservatives. They want to stop and go back.
has shuttered its state run Tavistock Gender Identity Clinic, which was the
Tavistock, huh?
largest pediatric gender clinic in the world. After
But then, fucking the Queen of the Turfs, J.K. Rowling, must have tweeted at them saying they're grooming your kids. You should totally not go there and like bomb them or
a
something.
report found that its patients were at considerable risk due to its unquestioning affirmative approach.
Unquestioning affirmative part. By unquestioning, do you mean of you people who just want to question? They just want to question everything. Usually, with what do you call it? Question begging, so that everything sounds like it's a bad thing.
A more accurate description for this approach would be medical malpractice. In no other
Uh,
part of the medical world is it considered acceptable or even legal to damage the body of a healthy person irreversibly.
oh, okay. Just gonna go right out there with it, huh? So, by that logic, so many medical treatments damage the normal body, but it's for the benefit of the patient overall. Stupid. But of course, what they consider damage, they consider they think it's trans.
If a mentally ill man who identifies as an
Here we
amputee
go.
asks a doctor to amputate his perfectly functioning arm to match his identity, every self respecting surgeon will send him away.
Um, I mean, obviously, it's a very you know, straw man example, but I mean, I'm imagining that in our society we don't. I mean, in America, I don't know about other society, other medical systems in the rest of the world, but they probably wouldn't do that either. One, because they might also want to give this guy an evaluation to make sure, okay, is this actually what you want? Is this actually the best treatment? Or and if it is, then I would say, yeah, let them do it if that's what they want to do. Who cares?
If a
It's literally not hurting anyone else. But of course, you guys don't care, do you?
young girl suffering from anorexia walks into a hospital and asks for liposuction, no one in their right mind would grant her request.
See, okay, that's a good example of, well, a much better comparison example. Okay, people with anorexia usually have a eating disorder, which is probably based on something psychological, uh, an over or under self-image that makes them refrain from or purge any food that they eat. So instead of granting her a request to make her look as skinny as possible, most likely killing her further or injuring her further, maybe she should get some psychiatric help in order to, deal with this thing that she probably doesn't really want. Anorexic people aren't generally happy in doing this because they know it's bad for their body, and they know that, well, I'm not saying they know like consciously, otherwise they probably wouldn't do it, but they have a compulsion. And if you can cure that compulsion with something other than medical treatment, especially if that treatment's going to be detrimental to their health, then yeah, you're going to find alternatives. But I'm sorry, guys, so far, I mean, there's other alternatives, of course. Not every transgender person has to go to medical transitioning. They can just present, change their name. Sometimes something as simple as like wearing their hair long or short or whatever. But your mileage may vary because guess what? People are complex. It's not all one size fits all.
And that's because physicians swear an oath to do no harm.
Okay, let's talk about this Hippocratic Oath. It's not do no harm. It is uh, do the most good. So when you're doing surgery on someone, you're gonna harm them, but it's for the benefit. It's to do the most good. But they like to play that out there as if, oh yeah, doctors don't ever harm somebody, by which we mean specifically harm, transition anybody. But you can amputate limbs when necessary or do surgery on people when necessary. But oh, when it comes to trans people, oh, suddenly we have to say, no, none of that, please.
To preserve and protect and heal a person's body as best as they can in spite of any delusions the person may be experiencing.
Okay, I agree with all this. In spite of any delusion, well, okay, you first, guess what? You have to first identify it as a delusion, because without that, it's perfectly fine to give them to preserve, protect, and heal the person's body as best you can. If that includes transitioning, then by that logic, you should let them do it. But of course, you think it's a delusion, even though the American Psychological Society, the American Psychiatric Society, and so many others pretty much all agree it's not a mental illness, and it's certainly not a delusion. It's really more people like you who are delusional, think it's not real
And yet,
or not
doctors
legitimate.
violate that oath every time they promote gender affirming care. Their
Bastards.
motives, no matter how compassionate they might sound, are not relevant. The idea that
Their motives aren't relevant. I mean, motives aren't relevant. Like, it technically no, because yeah, if a doctor is a transphobic asshole, but they still do this procedure, then thank you for doing your job. Even though you're still transphobic, you did the thing that was good. So yeah, good job.
teenagers, let alone small children, are capable of
Oh,
making such
not
life
the
altering
children.
decisions is not only brand new, it's absurd. A
It's not brand new. It's been going on for a while. But even if it was new, who the fuck cares? Just because something is new doesn't mean it has any less importance, you bitch. Oh, you think because your Bible is thousands of years old, whatever, that makes it any more important than like Dr. Seuss? Dr. Seuss written was written like, within this last century, and I'd say any of those books are more beneficial to the world and society than that shit.
Society that allows them to do so is deeply broken.
Hmm.
So, how do we put an end to this horror?
You lobby the government to prevent people from getting their uh, the best treatment from their medical doctors as possible because you have a problem with it. That's it. Oh, and stochastic terrorism. You send out, like this video, so much propaganda labeling transgender people or people who affirm transgender as pedophiles, groomers, uh, child mutillators, brainwashers, indoctrinators, just all these things. And you get people so embroiled in hatred that they attack people who are transgender. You attack people who support transgender people, and you certainly, um, try to influence school boards to not talk about it.
First, we need to stop going along with the language games gender ideologues want us to play.
But it's accurate. You know, I mean, they are kind of new words to my understanding. I'm pretty sure they're relatively new, but that doesn't make them any less important. We're dealing with, yeah. I wouldn't say that transgender people is a new thing, but it's newer than other things. But like some of the languages we've developed in modern times has better help to describe it. The fact that you guys refuse to even learn the definitions just shows your ignorance. It just shows that you don't care about this issue. You just want to be bigoted and you want to cover your ears, cover your eyes, cover your ears, and then shut everyone else's mouth up. That's what you want to do.
There are men and women and boys and girls. And there are
Hmm.
men and women and boys and girls who are confused or deluded about which one they are. There is
Nice.
no such thing as having a place on a gender spectrum.
Well, I hate to tell you, you dumbass, but if you actually knew anything about biology other than what you read in the first book of Genesis, yes, there is a spectrum. It's not just um, XX or XY. There's XXY, there's XYY, and so many other things in between. But it's not just about the chromosomes. It's also about how much hormones of estrogen or testosterone go through the person's body at birth and later. It's about what type of genitals they develop because I'm sorry to tell you, once again, it's not as clear cut as it is in the Bible. It's not all Adam, it's all Eve. There are guys born with vaginas and there are women born with dicks, breasts, no breasts, get the fuck over it. There's mental developments where a person will be born as boy but have kind of the mind of a female and vice versa. There is a lot of science on this. You know, you don't have to go far to realize, hey, why are some guys smaller, some girls bigger? Why are some slimmer? Why are some larger? And it's not all one or the other. We know this. They just want to pretend like it's all boys, all girls, nothing in between because they hate the in between. They hate things being ambiguous. But I'm sorry, that's how reality is for many things. It's not all a dichotomy. Fucking get educated.
With the rarest exceptions, we are born one of two sexes,
Oh, there are exceptions, huh? Oh, gonna be sneaky about it, are
male
we?
or female. Sex
Fuck
is
you.
not assigned, it is an integral part of who we are, right from
And I guess I don't have to go. I'm gonna say it anyways, even though hopefully people watching this already have seen it before. Sex and gender is not the same. Again, they don't want they well, some of them probably really don't know the correct terms and usages, but I guarantee a lot of them do actually know the difference between sex and gender. They just want to lump them together so that they can again cover their ears and pretend like la 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 there's only male and female, there's no other genders or other sexes. Ah, bah, bah, bah.
the moment of conception. This is true for horses, dolphins, and every other species
Nope.
in the animal
Nope.
kingdom.
Nope.
It is also
Definitely
true
not.
for human beings. There
There they
is
are.
no
Hi, Adam.
such
Hi,
thing
hi,
as
Eve.
gender affirming
Fucking
care.
Jesus Christ.
You cannot affirm something that does not exist. What does exist is chemical castration,
Here we go.
sterilization, and surgical
Hit
mutilation.
those fear mongering
Second,
points.
we
Do it.
need legal accountability.
Oh,
Patients who
yeah. Let's get some laws in here to get these people, um, you know, uh, concentrated away from their actual lives that they want to live. Let's do it.
have undergone physical and medical gender treatments as minors should be able to sue the doctors and hospitals who performed the treatments.
I think you actually have to want to sue somebody in order to sue them. If they wanted to do the procedure, they asked the doctor to do it, the doctor did it, then what's the problem here? Oh, I get it. You just want them to sue them because they did it, not because they violated their consent, not because it was malpractice, just because you don't like transitioning. Incredible. Sorry, play. Damn it, play.
The risk of serious financial liability will bring this barbarism to an end faster than 100 protests.
Um, yeah, I guess. Like, of course, obviously, you guys are going to try hitting them from all sides. You want to do everything in your power to eradicate the trans, well, really the LGBTQIA plus community as a whole, but obviously the transgender ones are the ones you have the most problem with and probably are the most, well, they are the most marginalized of that group. So they're an easy target for you guys to harass, to fearmonger against, and yes, to um, petition the government to actually put up legal barriers to prevent citizens who are just doing their own thing from doing their own thing because you don't like it. Sounds like a freedom, justice, and the American way. That's for sure.
This is a battle that we must win, not least
No
because there's
matter
an
the
entire
cost.
generation of boys and girls being made to believe that irreversibly changing their bodies will fix the social and emotional anxieties they experience.
But I guess if we had, I don't know, mountains of data that says that it did, you guys wouldn't give a fuck because let's flip it around. If we, if they like, if we showed them evidence that forcing these two, I'm just going to assume that's a boy, that's a girl, just for again simplicity's sake. It's their animation, so I'm talking about it. Uh, so forcing in your scenario, you would force this boy to identify as a boy and present as one. This girl remain a girl, present as a girl. And what would happen in reality is they would get depressed, probably to the point of harming themselves. But you guys wouldn't care, would you? Because at the end of the day, straight hetero, well, or straight hetero. I'm sorry, cis hetero and gender what was it called, gender traditional gender roles, even though it's well, they think those are good things in and of themselves, and if they saw the statistics of people who are forced to conform that way are actually more depressed and more likely to harm themselves, they wouldn't care because they want them to harm themselves. They want this community and pretty much all as much as they can to make the lives of LGBTQIA plus people so miserable that they either suppress and fall in line with cis hetero and gender conforming, or they kill themselves and then they're no longer a problem for them. That's all they care about. I guarantee, well, I mean, some of them do, but I guarantee that even if this was their own children, they'd rather they kill themselves than actually be trans. I think some of them actually said that, right?
We must act now. Our children are
Get your
counting on us,
guns.
even if they don't know it.
Get your
They are,
guns.
after all, just children. I'm Kaylee McGee White of the
Yeah,
Washington Examiner.
they're just children. They ain't got no thoughts and feelings of their own. So I know what's better for my kid. I can think for them, even though I dropped out of high school. I'm a fucking idiot. Shit.